All right, you're with the platform. Gosh, we've got so much going on this morning, but I have very much been looking forward to speaking to our next guest. Her name is Kirralie Smith. If you read mainstream media, she's an anti-trans activist. My description is she's a pro-women's rights activist from Australia. She is here as a guest of Family First at a conference they are holding in Auckland. I think it's called the Family Forum. But she's hit the headlines in Australia, and I think her story is very relevant to debates that are going on in this country. She joins us by video link. Kirralie, welcome to the platform. Nice to have you with us.
Great to be with you, Sean.
All right. Kirralie, you are the subject of what's called, I don't know that we've had in here, an AVO. What is an AVO in Australia?
Well, it's an apprehension of violence order because, in Australia, we've redefined the word woman to mean or include man, and we've also redefined the word violence to include calling those men men. So I am the subject of an apprehension of violence order because I identified males in female sporting teams, and apparently that's now violence. Yesterday, I also found out that I'm guilty of vilification for calling two of players who identify as women male, and yet to know what the penalties are. They won't come out till November, but I apparently have broken the law in calling those people male.
Okay, this is in relation though to one person who took this case against you.
The AVO is?
Yeah, the AVO. And this
AVO,
person claims that you basically, cyberbullied them. You trolled them. They were playing in a women's team. They were a man, or they just are a man, who, I don't know, said they were a woman or decided to identify as a woman. Did you troll them? Did you say nasty things about them online?
Look, I can't say too much about it or I'll end up breaking the orders. But what I can say is that I've never targeted an individual. I have never, made posts towards a person. I have always made my advocacy on a policy level, a political level. I have very aggressively gone after organisations like Football Australia to ask them why they allow males in female teams. What's the point of having male and female divisions if they're just going to let males in? What recourse is there for female players who are opposed to that policy? And the result of that advocacy and directing everything towards Football Australia, Football New South Wales, politicians and the media, I've landed myself in this situation. Never having met these people, directing anything towards these people, using information only from the public domain. It seems absolutely mind-boggling to me.
Have you ever threatened violence or suggested other people perpetrate violence against these individuals?
Absolutely not.
Have you
Never.
ever suggested that their businesses be banned or suggested an economic boycott of them in any way?
Not in any way, shape or form. I don't even know what they do. I don't care what they do. They're just examples of what's happening because people don't believe you, and I can use the example of Leah Thomas, who was William Thomas in the US, and Riley Gaines, an absolute superstar, went up against him. They tied, and, the US media, obviously, the US are allowed to name these people and talk about it, and it's
well, we can name them here. I'm
President
reading coverage of it here. I'm not going to mention the person's name. I don't want to get you in any more trouble. So you never advocated violence. What does the AVO mean to you? What does that mean you've got to do or not do, the AVO?
Well, I can't name that person or use their images or anything like that, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I can't harass, stalk, intimidate, threaten, or, perpetrate violence against them. I never have. I never will. It's really a political statement.
But the judge basically said what you were doing by identifying them was violence, which seems odd.
Correct.
All right. Are you aware of the situation?
Sorry, I just want to reiterate, Sean. The information came from the public domain. It's not something I searched out.
You didn't go and take surreptitious pictures of them or anything like that. It feels to me what I would call crybullying, what's gone on here. Did this person have support in taking their case against you?
Look, in Australia, anyone in that position uses taxpayer-funded community legal services. Those legal services get taxpayer grants and funding, whereas I have to raise all of my own funds.
Yeah. Now, an AVO, I imagine, actually sounds to me a bit like what we would call a domestic protection order for spouses who are violent towards spouses. Not for this, not for someone who advocates on a contestable issue. In New Zealand recently...
as far as I know.
Yeah. In New Zealand recently, Raylene Castles, who is an Australian, the head of the New Zealand Sport Foundation, and a trans rights activist, it would seem to me, rights activist, got told after a year of a tussle to pull her head in and change the criteria for trans involvement in women's sport in New Zealand to put the rights of women first and the safety of women first rather than diversity first. New revelation suggests that Raylene Castles hated having to do that and tried to stop it happening. But that is the position here. What is the position in Australia as far as men who think they're Sheilas are participating in women's sport is? What are the rules?
They can have at it. Pretty much free reign at grassroots community levels. There is a provision in law that you can discriminate according to biological sex in sport where speed, stamina or strength is a factor. However, no sporting organisation in Australia pretty much, I think, obviously rugby league, rugby union, those sort of sports, really heavy contact sports, won't allow that participation by males in female divisions. But pretty much every other sport, cricket, netball, soccer, tennis, gymnastics, you name it, are allowing male bodies in female sporting divisions, and no one's opposing it. Mainly, I believe, or what I'm told by many of these community associations, is they don't want to go through what I've been through. They don't want to be dragged through the courts. They don't have $200,000, nor do I, by the way. I had to, raise that through very serious fundraising. And, a lot of them have been waiting to see what would happen to me because obviously, as I said, I haven't been violent. I haven't been even aggressive in any of these things. I was called by one lawyer, the most polite activist they've ever met. And here we are in this situation, but in many ways, I can't blame these sporting organisations. I've met many of the female athletes who are horrendously gaslit and intimidated and threatened and told they would be taken to court under these.
Yeah, that was the problem in New Zealand. The protocol was if someone complains about this, you investigate them, they're the problem.
Exactly. And that's the problem. And it shouldn't. This is not controversial, Sean. For 99% of the population, we know that men are men, women are women. Every single person. Yeah. We've been given eyes. We've been given an innate ability to correctly sex an individual for our own dignity, protection, and safety. And yet, these sporting people like Raylene Castle think they're being, such champions and advocates for trans people. No one is saying trans people cannot play sport. We're simply saying, participate in the correct sex, get your own categories even better, let's do that. But why aren't males forced to embrace these males who identify as women? Why is it on the women to, compromise their safety, their dignity and their fairness?
Yeah. Now, you've also just recently been told you cannot appeal this AVO. What does it mean for you practically? What does the AVO, what penalty does it impose on you?